Good morning. So it is a really yucky rainy day today, and I had the intention of going outside and planting some wood today so that I could start working on some projects, but it's really raining hard, so that's not going to happen today. But I had an idea for this good rainy day project. I really like plants. I have quite a few of them around the house, but my favorite are the easy kind. So I like succulents and cacti and air plants. So I recently found these air plants, and I'll show you a picture, and I really like them, but I don't really know how to display them. So right now they are just sitting as you see them in the picture. So I had this idea that I'm going to take a piece of wood and drill some holes in it, and it will be really simple, and I'll be able to mount it on the wall and put my air plants on display. So I thought we could do that together. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here I am in the garage, which is where I keep all my wood planks. So it's a little difficult for me to take a camera up there. I'm going to grab a ladder. I'm going to climb up, find a good piece of wood that fits, and then I'll bring it down and show you what I found. Okay, so I found, I think, the perfect piece of wood. I grabbed this piece of bird's eye maple, and it really looks to me like it should be just right. The measurements on it are about 24 inches by 4.5 inches. So I'm thinking that should be just about right. By the way, Savage grip line. This is a 30-foot measuring tape. It's a little heavy, but it is absolutely the best measuring tape I've ever had. Some of them are super flimsy, and I get so frustrated trying to measure things, especially when I'm by myself and it's just me. That end always gets floppy and falls off and things like that. So this measuring tape, not sponsored, I'm just letting you know that this one is really something. It works really well. So we're gonna take this bird's eye maple, and I'll use the live edge side out, and I'm thinking I have 10 air plants, so I will kind of scatter the holes, and then we'll insert the air plants inside of those holes. So I'm going to sand the wood on both sides, but I will be paying more attention to the part that I've determined is going to be the front. It has the live edge, and I think it's going to look really sharp when we're done. So I will probably give this a little fast forward. I'm going to work my way from 40. I'm going to sand with 40 to take some of the rough pieces off, and then I'll just work my way up. I have a 60, 80, 180, all the way up to 220, and usually 220 grit is enough for just a basic wood piece, but I'll evaluate once I hit that 220 point. Also, if you don't have an orbital sander, you can do this by hand, just with regular sandpaper. It's not a huge project, so it will be a little bit more time consuming, but it's definitely something that can be done. All right, so I've gone through the 40 grit now, and I've removed it has a lot of saw lines and things in there, so I've taken that right down to where I can no longer see the saw lines and any of the punky pieces that were sticking out. So what I'm going to do next actually is remove this bark. I know bark looks cool, but it will not hold up over time, and it's better for me to remove it now because there is still a nice edge to the actual maple wood itself. So I'm going to go through and scrape off any of the bark that's showing, and then I'll lightly sand the edges later just by hand, just to make sure that they're clean. So I'm going to take off the bark so that it doesn't start flying off at me, and then I will go to the next level of grit. To remove the bark, today I'm just going to use a screwdriver actually, and it's a little flat head, and I'm just going to go through and pry off the pieces here, and again I'm going to clean it up later on. pretty smooth, so I don't think I need to do so many layers. So I'm just going to skip right ahead to the 180 that I have. Okay, so I was able to get it nice and smooth. So I worked all the way up to 220 grit. What I'm going to do now, I would use my router to go over the edges here, just to round them over so they're not sharp. However, my goal today is to show you that you really don't need a whole lot of tools and equipment to do these projects. So I'm going to do it by hand. I'm just going to take a piece of sandpaper and I'm going to, on the sharp edges that are here where it was a straight cut, I'm just going to go over that so that it's smooth and it rolls over a little bit so that it's, again, not sharp. I'm going to use the same sandpaper. This one just happens to be the 180. I will do the edges, the side, and then I'm just going to also do where I removed the bark. Now we have a nice, smooth, and absolutely stunning piece of bird's eye maple. This is now ready to be marked. So I'll mark where the holes are going to be. And then I'm going to grab my drill and I will make the holes for the airplanes. Okay, I'm back. I've gathered everything I need to make the holes and get close to finishing this project. I went ahead and I did already measure it and mark out where I wanted to put the holes. That will be completely up to you. I did not take great care to center everything or, you know, really measure to be sure I was hitting center or anything like that. I have only one hole that I'm putting even remotely close to the middle, so it's really not that big of a deal. So I am going to do a staggered piece. I'm doing one in the center and then a little bit of a diagonal for the rest. And I am just going to mark those holes a little better before I get started. Okay. I am just using the largest drill bit that I have, and I'm going to go straight into the wood, but I'm not going very far. So this just marks how deep I want the drill to go for my holes. All right, so I now have all the holes that I need. What I'm going to do next is put it at an angle, make my hole bigger, and just make it work for me. I think that's enough of making the holes, and I'm just going to clean them up a little bit with some sandpaper, take the dust out from the inside of it and clean them up a little bit, and then take a look and see how things fit. So we have now into the wood. I'm pretty sure that's going to be big enough, but I'm gonna go grab a couple of the air plants and see if they fit in the holes. Back, I brought a couple of my little air plants, and I am just checking to see if they fit in the holes as anticipated. I can see that some of the holes are okay, but I have a few that are larger than this, so I know, for example, this guy that doesn't have much of a base, he will not fit. And this one, which is rather large, also has a thicker base, and that definitely won't fit. So I'm going to go quickly and I'll fast forward, but I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make the holes a little bigger. Because I do need them significantly larger, I am actually going to drill another hole pretty much right beside it, and then I'll join the two. My phone is ringing again, so I'm just going to pause this and then I will keep going. Go figure, I got on the phone and then I came back to work and I forgot to record. So I'll tell you what I did. I was working on using that drill to make the holes bigger, but it was awfully messy, so I did go back to the one that was flat to make the holes. So that makes a nice round hole, so that did work out better. I could have continued on with the drill and the sandpaper, but I really didn't like the way it was turning out. So what I'm going to do now is sand the edges, and then I will apply some oil to the wood. So I will stop, I'll fast forward, and then I will stop when I'm ready to apply the oil. To make it look, to really bring out the colors and the grain, and also to protect it over time, I'm going to coat it with some Danish oil. You can use teak oil or any kind of a finishing product that you would like, that you prefer. I'm just going to use the oil. This is, again, kind of a wet wood, so I don't want to steal any of the extra moisture inside of it. I'm just going to treat it with the oil to condition it and bring out its great features. And I'm just using the natural color. I don't want to add any color or anything to this wood because it's beautiful just the way it is. Just make sure I'm getting it into all the cracks and crevices on the edges, also where the bark was. You'll see it's just going to soak it right up. It'll take me a few coats to get it to the level. I'll continue to do it until it doesn't absorb anything else, and when it stops absorbing, then it'll be finished. So I'll do the front and the back, and then once it's going to take a few hours because I'll put some on, I'll let it soak in, I'll wait a little while, and then I'll apply another coat. So later on this afternoon, I should have completed all of the coats. And then we will have a product ready to put a hanger on and stick on the wall. So I have put as much oil as this wood wants to take. It is stunningly beautiful. It really brought out the look of the grain. And now I'm going to install the hanging mechanism so I can put that right up on the wall. And I've just chosen a simple D-ring that I had in the basement. So I'm going to figure out where my center is, and I will mark a hole. I'm going to pre-drill a small hole so that the screw can go in cleanly. And there we have it. I have installed now the hanging mechanism. So what we'll do is I'm going to go find a nice place to put it, and then we will hang it up on the wall and fill it up with some air plants. I found a place to hang it. Now I just need to put the air plants in. It's up, and it is full of air plants. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I have some bird's eye maple, and again, we drilled some holes. I did have to go back and angle them a little more because my air plants kept falling out. But once I did that and I treated it with the Danish oil, it brought out the life of the wood, and I'm really happy with it. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of my arrangement of air plants. I think that might have been the hardest part of the project. and maybe go ahead and make one yourself. If you do, I'd love to see it. So go to my website, multicraftmom.com, find the social media platform that you like to use, and post a picture. And don't forget to use the hashtag multicraftmom, and that way I'll be able to see them. Have a great day.